Hello, welcome to Higher Education and Hyper Awareness web series. Today we'll talk about the proposed Higher Education Commission of India, and we'll do a critical analysis to understand that whether it is useful or whether going to really provide the real benefits to the proposed objective of this particular commission. We know very well that currently in India, the higher education is now regulated by the UGC, but also it has the standard bodies like AICTE for the technical education. We have the teacher education for the these BEd courses and also ITEP courses, and also we have now separate BCI for legal education. We have separate medical council for the medical education. But now this proposed higher education commission, as per the NEP 2020, it is said that it is going to be a single regulator and trying to be umbrella kind of legislation. This way, it is going to provide a lot of level playing field, because currently for getting the approvals, you have to go to several bodies, and sometimes it takes a lot of time and killing a lot of time. And now the focus is not actually on the quality, because the UGC is mostly busy in about the fund distribution, technical aspects. It is not actually very seriously focusing, or could focus because of the very big umbrella about the quality education. Now it is said that if the particular this commission is in force, it may be going to provide a lot of support to the higher education, because there will be a single regulator. Now what will happen, the key goals about or objectives about this proposed higher education commission is that it is going to eliminate the overlapping jurisdiction, because now for example the technical education is under the ICT, teacher education is under the this BEd course is under teacher education, so it sometimes make the overlapping. So if the single regulator, the overlapping can be avoided. And also there is autonomy for promotion, shift from the micromanagement to outcome-based oversight, granting institutions greater academic and administrative freedom. And also the quality enhancement, shift from the micromanagement to outcome-based model, and enforce uniform academic standards, faculty qualifications or learning outcomes across all the institutions. Global alignment, because to facilitate internationalization through foreign university campuses in India. For example, recently the Deakin University has opened their campus, and also Wollongong, they opened their campus in the gift city of Gujarat. You know very well that gift city is focusing a lot about the just like a foreign land, and giving a lot of autonomy for the banks, financial companies, and also the higher education. And also we have Indian campuses abroad for IITs in Zanzibar and also Abu Dhabi. So the structural framework about the higher education commission will be that one is regulation, second is accreditation, funding and academic standards. So it has four objectives. Regarding regulation, so National Higher Education Regulatory Council will be there, and also we'll be having National Accreditation Council will be there. For funding, Higher Education Grants Council will be there, and for academic standards, General Education Council will be there. There will be four councils are proposed under the Higher Education Commission. Now if you see the aspect, current system and proposed Higher Education Commission system, if you can do analysis, so regulatory bodies like current system, it has multiple bodies like UGC, AICT and NCTE. Now in the proposed Higher Education Commission, there is a single unified regulator. For funding functions, we have the combined with the regulation under UGC, but in the proposed Higher Education Commission of India, there is a separate into distinct verticals are there. State representation will be very limited in the current model, but actually in the proposed model, advisory roles only non-binding. So now they are only limited to advisory role. One way it can be also the may not be good, because they simply have the advisory role, so they may not be able to control, because currently the central university, they have a 10% student, but 90% students are studying mostly in the state universities. So currently state universities are controlled by different states. Depending on the requirement and need of those states, they have some control on the higher education. But in the Higher Education Commission of India, where the role of the states are just advisory, it may going to happen that it may not really cater the needs of the state specific higher education. But also if you see the focus about the that the is a compliance driven. Currently the UGC is a compliance driven, but the proposed model about the Higher Education Commission is that autonomy and outcome based governance. So this is the focus. That's why in NEP 2020 it was proposed that there will be Higher Education Commission of India. But there are also potential benefits about this particular aspect because it has a reduced fragmentation. Replacing 3+ regulators with one Higher Education Commission could resolve jurisdictional conflicts such as AICT and UGC disputes over technical and program approvals. Enhanced innovation. Institutions could design flexible curricula, for example, multidisciplinary degrees. They may adopt digital learning for SWAM, virtual labs without multiple approvals. Efficiency and gains. A unified portal for approval, for example, degree granting authority may accelerate institutional operations. It may have global competence. The proposed new model that Higher Education Commission of India, it in the lines of the global growth and development. So it may provide the global competitiveness to the universities. So by aligning with international standards, for example, credit framework like NCRF. So Higher Education Commission of India could improve India's position in the global rankings, because currently India is doing very well, because if you see last year India has just 43 universities virtually under the international rankings, but now India has 54 universities in the international ranking. So it means that India is fast growing, and that's why if there is a Higher Education Commission of India, it may further boost the competitiveness, and we may have more universities coming in the international ranking. But also there's some concerns, for example, centralized power. So some concerns are there that government dominance will be there on the education sector. So the Higher Education Commission of India composition includes 9+ members out of 12 appointed directly, indirectly by the central government. So there will be 12 members, but 9 will be directly appointed by the central government. It will be risking political interference. For example, the chairperson and vice chairperson are selected by the committee led by the cabinet secretary. These secretaries are mostly under the central government. And then marginalized states, for example, states representation is limited to an advisory council with no binding authority, because now they have just advisory role. Earlier, they have the full control over the state universities. So undermining India's federal structure. This is critical as state universities enroll 90% of the India's higher education students, as I mentioned in the beginning. It may also threat equity and access. So the rural institutions may be closed because the commission says that those who are not able to meet the standards will be shut down. It may provide disproportionately affect rural colleges facing infrastructure, faculty shortage, worsening the regional disparities. It may further actually give the bias to the private group. It may give further privatization because it will flourish the private sector. And then the parliamentary committees warn that closures may fuel privatization, as corporate entities could exploit gaps in underserved areas. It may further provide digital divide, because while Higher Education Commission of India promotes online education like SWAM, and there are 5.15 crore enrollments, inadequate digital infrastructure in rural areas may exclude marginalized students. So further actually provide the implementation challenges like unresolved funding mechanism. So separating funding from regulation is theoretically sound, but the bill lacks details on disbursement process. This risks replicating the UGC era delays and politicization, because you know very well that mostly currently the UGC is more on the funding and also disbursement of the funds, and sometimes it is delays because of delay of the funds and budgets is now affecting the universities. Now again, in the new model, if the problem is same, there is no benefit, because this new model should provide very fast disposal of the funds and budgeting and all these things. And also it may have the historical precedents like past reforms. For example, in the RUSA funding, so poor implementation due to budgetary constraints and bureaucratic inertia. But there may be broader issues like commodification of education. For example, critics argue that the Higher Education Commission may accelerate privatization, prioritizing the profit over access. Now we know that there are a lot of first generation families coming for the higher education. We have to provide them a lot of access. But if you close the poor colleges, universities in the rural areas and some of the states, it is going to boost the private group. And the private group, they are mostly going for the profits. So they will be making very high fee. It may then have the access issues because all the poor families may not have the access to higher education. So these are some of the, and also further the undermining the research inequality, because there may be a faculty crisis, heavy teaching loads, because those private groups may have focused a lot on the outcome of the teaching. So they're focusing a lot on the teaching. They may not focus a lot on the, because their faculty mostly on contracts, short-term basis they're hiring. So they short-term faculty on contracts, they're mostly focused on teaching, may not be able to provide the quality research, in-depth analysis, projects and all. This may in the long term may affect the quality of the higher education. Further, it may be seen that the past committee recommendations like the Higher Education Commission draws from the Yashpal Committee report of 2009. We have seen that in the 2009 there was a lot of hue and cry, and after the decision of Supreme Court of India, Yashpal Committee was there, and then Yashpal Committee has done a lot of recommendations, and then we have the knowledge, the National Knowledge Commission 2005, which advocates unified regulation but warned against over centralization. So these two committees have recommended there should be a central regulator, but again they have said that there should not be a over centralization, it will be balancing of the states and center. But in this particular process, what we have seen, the draft bill of the Higher Education Commission, it is moving more towards centralization. It may further affect the real interest of the states in various areas where there are specific needs. So UGC, despite its mandate, the UGC focused on fund disbursement over quality control, leading to inconsistent standards and corruption. So then NEP 2020, a very ambitious project by the Government of India. While NEP promotes light touch regulation, so it says that light but tight regulation should be there. So the Higher Education Commission design remains heavy-handed, potentially contradicting its own principles. Now the recommendation for the effective implementation, that we should take a lot of care once we are going to implement the Higher Education Commission. So we have to provide the strengthened federalism, ensure 33% state representation must be there in the Higher Education Core Council, and make state advisory role binding, because currently says that out of 12, 9 by central government of India, only 3 from the different states. It may have the potential to dilute the interest of the states. So recommendation is that there will be 33% state representation, so they'll be able to provide their support and their needs. We have to safeguard the rural institutions. So implement phased compliance timelines like 5 to 7 years, and targeted funding for PM Usha grants for rural higher education institutions. Transparent funding should be there. So establish an independent higher education grants council with statutory backing and clear SOPs. We have to provide faculty empowerment, replace temporary contracts with tenure track positions, and reduce bureaucratic reporting burdens. There must be digital equity, expand broadband access, and subsidize devices for low-income students, alongside online education pushes. So there are some key recommendations and also implementation pathways are there. So the state implementation must be balanced, and also we should have a rural institution support like PM Usha funds, 100 crore per institution for the infrastructure, and also there must be reduced regional diaspora. Funding council, statutory body with audited disbursement must be there, and also we have depoliticized resources should be there. Faculty welfare, mandatory tenure track, at least 20% workload reduction for research, improved teaching quality. So it means that we have to provide the balancing, because if focus is mostly on the hiring the part-time faculty, not on the full-time faculty, focusing mostly on teaching, not on research, it may have disbalance. So recommendation is there there will be proper hiring of the faculty, focus on the research and development. So it may have long-term impact on the quality and access of the higher education. So the Higher Education Commission of India represents a paradigm shift with transformative potential but carries significant risks. Its success hinges on balancing centralization with flexibility, enforcing standards without exacerbating the inequalities, and learning from historical regulatory failures. If implemented with inclusive governance, adequate funding, safeguards, and phased adaptation, Higher Education Commission could align India's higher education with global benchmarks. However, without addressing the centralization, biases, and rural vulnerabilities, it may deepen existing crises of access and quality. So, policymakers must prioritize federal collaboration and equity-centered transitions to realize NEP 2020's vision. So it means that now this is a challenging time because we are in the process of drafting the Higher Education Commission of India. So there are a lot of support is required to provide balancing. Thank you very much for watching my channel Higher Education and Hyper Awareness Web Series. We'll meet shortly in a new video. Till then, thank you very much. Take care. Bye.